Hi, good evening, everyone. It's 10:40 p.m. here in Chicago on Thursday, February 17th. So I wanted to post a link. I think it's Fight Hub, a David Benavidez interview. Okay, I'm human, so I have to admit when I might have, you know, made a mistake or overreacted. Hearing David Benavidez speak. Now, keep in mind, what I'm about to say is unrelated to whether or not he ends up avoiding or ducking Andrade. It's unrelated. This is strictly about how David Benavidez conducted himself in the interview. Unlike all of the other fighters who either won't speak on it at all, like Triple G's lazy ass, or Munguia, or fighters like bitch ass Canelo, who his excuses are he's a horrible fighter and he fought nobody, and Charlo, who has to mimic everything Canelo says. At least David Benavidez, not only did he credit Andrade for all of the things that Andrade earned, but he also wouldn't let it be said that Andrade brings nothing to the table. The interviewer kind of threw that out there, and David Benavidez was like, no, he brings a lot to the table. And he started naming Andrade's accomplishments despite him not being able to get good fights. And then he said, I'm not like one of these guys who, just because I don't want to fight him, I start saying, oh, you don't bring any to the table. You don't bring anything to the table. Oh, you don't have any good names or whatever. So despite what happens with whether or not Benavidez fights Andrade. Now, I'm not saying a duck isn't a duck. He still might duck Andrade. I hope not. So this is unrelated to whether or not there's a duck involved. I'm only speaking on at least he's not trying to create this narrative that he's not going to fight Andrade because he's a horrible fighter and he doesn't have anything to bring to the table. He actually knocked that down when the interviewer, kind of made mention of it. So it's a good start. So I do kind of see him differently from the other big names that Andrade has come across in the past. But hopefully the fight can get made. But yeah, at least Benavidez, he at least he's speaking from the heart. He's not speaking out of fear, because when you start saying someone's a horrible fighter and they haven't fought anybody, you're speaking out of fear. You're just trying to protect the fact that you don't want the fight. David Benavidez isn't speaking out of fear, or at least he's just he gave a respectful assessment. So I respect that. It's early in the game to see what happens with him and Andrade. But maybe I was a little too hard on Benavidez. Maybe, maybe not. But I do like the fact that he gave credit to Andrade. And not because he said something positive about Andrade, but because he didn't spread a lie on Andrade. He didn't spread any false narratives. He gave him credit for what he has done and what he has tried to do. And I mean, I think that's pretty cool. So listen to the interview. It's really good. It's a really good interview. When David Benavidez talks, he's just that type of boxer that, like, everything he's saying, like, really makes sense. He's just, he doesn't do a lot of fluffy talk, I don't think. So his interviews are always good. So listen to the interview. He probably breaks it down much better than I do. And do you remember when I said I'm going to pay more attention to throwback fights and nobody fights and all of that? I found one of my favorite fights that I'm going to post. Maybe I'll make a video for it tomorrow. Okay, I used to be this huge Javier Fortuna fan, right? This was before he got more recognition. I actually thought he was going to be one of the biggest names in boxing. I thought he was going to be the most feared in boxing. Oh, and by the way, when I named all the people who ducked Haney, I forgot to mention Javier Fortuna. But the Fortuna fights of the past, before he got really known, some of them are my favorite to go back and visit. So I'm going to post one, and I just want you to listen to how the the commentator broke down why the fight ended the way it did. But I'll talk about it more when I post it. But yeah, I used to love watching Javier Fortuna fight. Anyway, thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone.